The days are growing shorter, the crisp autumn breeze fills the night's air, leaves drift down from trees, and cooler temperatures remind us that the seasons are changing. But one thing remains constant, this epic comic book channel. Get ready to dive into brand new fictional locations, meet incredible characters, and so much more. The weather may change, but our stories never stop. Welcome to Short Story Universe Audio. Thanks for clicking on my video Whemsyka Woodz, The False Forest. To fully enjoy this video, please ensure CC closed captions aka subtitles is turned on. Heads up! The characters, events, locations, etc. in the following story are fictional and set within the short story universe. Be sure to stick around after the story and enjoy the amazing AI podcast that deep dives into this amazing story. So, grab a snack, sit back, and enjoy Whemsyka Woodz, The False Forest. Step into a world where not everything is as it seems. The False Forest, a place untouched by the change of seasons, hides more than just its barren trees. Within its depths, ancient secrets lie dormant, waiting to be uncovered. One fateful day, an accidental spell by the powerful magician Dynora shatters the fragile peace of the forest, sending Whemsyka Woodz tumbling into a mystery no one saw coming. What begins as a frantic search for a lost soul spirals into a tale of magical mishaps, hidden alliances, and a transformation that will change the False Forest forever. As the story unfolds, strange characters emerge from the shadows, a quirky ex-husband with a love for potluck soup, a seemingly innocent old woman with untold knowledge, and a brother whose scientific creations, pteranoids and divinians, bring new life to the once desolate land. The unexpected return of Whemsyka during her own memorial shakes the very foundation of what is real and what is imagined, leaving everyone questioning their place in this strange and enchanting world. With every turn, Whemsyka Woodz, The False Forest, will keep you wondering what lies beneath the surface of the forest, and what ancient secrets are waiting to reveal themselves next. As the forest comes alive in ways no one could have anticipated, this story proves that even the most barren places can be transformed, sometimes, into something far more dangerous and mysterious than ever imagined. The False Forest never embraced the change of seasons. Beside the tall trees, there wasn't much to see once inside the forest. Hence the reason why it was called the False Forest. One day, a magician, Dynora aka the Wizard of Earth and Land, was practicing magic, and she changed a tall tree into a beautiful plant. Yet, high up inside the tall tree sat a book reader named Whemsyka Woodz, and as a result, she fell to the ground. Dynora presumed Whemsyka to be unalive by her motionless body. Thus, she frantically ran to Whemsyka's home city of Whemsyka to report her magical mishap. In Whemsyka, Dynora spotted Whemsyka's brother, Devi Woodz, and informed him of what happened. Devi and Dynora ran off into the False Forest. Once inside, there was no sign of Whemsyka. Thus, Devi led a search party for Whemsyka's missing body. Devi knew of only one old woman who lived out in the False Forest, and her name was Corinthia Crane. Devi and Dynora barged in and insisted they searched Corinthia's cottage. During the search, Corinthia said she had nothing to hide. Yet, she seemed as if she knew something. In fact, Corinthia's ex-husband named Patrick Porridge, who recently moved out into the False Forest, had found Whemsyka. Thus, Patrick took Whemsyka to his cottage and fed her warm bowls of his infamous potluck soup. During this, Patrick contacted Corinthia pretending as if he needed advice, yet he simply wanted to hear Corinthia's elegant voice. During Whemsyka's memorial, Devi, as the co-founder and member of the United Scientists Association, displayed his beautification plans, and the memorial crowd cheered and applauded. During the excitement, they heard a confused young lady's voice saying, "Hello." It was Whemsyka as she stood off to the side along with Patrick. The crowd rushed to them. Whemsyka and Patrick quickly explained what had happened. "Furthermore, we can't let Devi's fantastic beautification plans fall to the wayside," said Patrick. "You mean we should still go through with my plans?" said Devi. "This is as good of a reason as any to spruce things up in this false forest," said Dynora. "It's like a scary fairy tale with a happy ending," said Whemsyka. "Starring you, the lovely Whemsyka Woodz," said Patrick. The crowd cheered and applauded. Devi quickly cleared everyone out of the false forest. That's everyone besides Corinthia. At the edge of the forest, Devi sent in his pteranoids, highly advanced, bioengineered bugs. These synthetic organisms are designed to terraform and rejuvenate forest ecosystems. Equipped with nanotechnology and adaptive genetic coding, pteranoids can manipulate the environment at a molecular level. They can create lush plants, flowing water streams, towering trees, and even form rocks and boulders that appear natural, transforming a desolate forest into a vibrant, thriving ecosystem. With autonomous AI-driven systems, pteranoids operate independently, making them indispensable for large-scale ecological restoration projects. Not only did Devi release his pteranoids into the forest, but he also released his hybrid creatures called Divinians. The Divinians were called Jujutsus, Stone Age lion bears, and California gruffs. Plus, Devi had an entire list of Divinians soon to be released into the forest. Word of the beautification plans grew like wildfire. 7 days later, Devi stood before a massive crowd. Amongst the crowd was a tall, ogre-looking man and woman named Grendel and Nymeria Wobblyns. Grendel was strong and mysterious, and Nymeria was graceful but with an edge of adventure. Because of their weight, they had a funny wobble when they walked. Thus, their last name fit perfectly. Devi gave them a nice wave and smile. In honor of my sister Whemsyka, the false forest will be known as Whemsyka Woodz. Once inside the forest, the transformation was so remarkable that it left everyone in disbelief, unable to recognize the once barren landscape. As the Wobblyns, towering over everyone, step into the transformed forest, the crowd watches in awe. Devi, with a sly smile, leads the Wobblyns deeper into Whemsyka Woodz. They stop at a hidden clearing, where Devi reveals a beautifully crafted home, nestled inside a tree. It's a perfect blend of nature and architecture, tailored to the Wobblyns' stature and needs. This surprise home symbolizes a new beginning. As the Wobblyns take in their new home, they notice a mysterious artifact left on the table. This artifact hints at the ancient secrets of the forest and sets the stage for the next chapter of adventures in the lovely forest called Whemsyka Woodz. Up next is the AI podcast I mentioned at the opening of this video. AI technology is totally on the rise. The two AI podcasters sound so professional and funny as they deep dive into my story Whemsyka Woodz, The False Forest. Enjoy!
Welcome to another deep dive. This time we're looking at something pretty cool. It's a brand new comic book universe, something called the short story universe. And specifically today we're going to be diving into one particular story in this universe called Whemsyka Woodz, The False Forest.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's a really unique mix of magic and ecological transformation, and maybe even just a touch of mystery.
Oh, intriguing.
Yeah, so imagine a barren forest, and all of a sudden it's bursting with life and strange new creatures, and there might even be some ancient secrets hidden in there as well.
I'm hooked already. Where do we start?
Well, the story drops you right into the middle of it all. Like, we start in the false forest, which is described as a pretty, kind of stagnant place. Nothing much going on there except these really tall trees.
Okay.
And that's where we meet the main character, Whemsyka Woodz. She's up in the branches of a tree, lost in a book.
So far, so good. I'm picturing this quiet, almost sleepy forest scene.
Exactly. But that's where things get a little, magical. Dynora Fisher, who's the wizard of earth and land, accidentally changes Whemsyka's tree into a small plant.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Whemsyka falls. And Dynora, thinking she's, dead, rushes off to find her brother, Devi.
Classic setup, right? You've got the immediate conflict, the relationships between the characters, and this kind of mysterious forest setting. It just pulls you in.
Right. And that feeling continues as Devi and Dynora start searching for Whemsyka. They run into this woman named Corinthia Crane. She's older, kind of seems like she knows a lot about the forest, more than she's letting on,
Makes you wonder what she's hiding.
Definitely. But just when you think you know where the story's going, there's a twist. Whemsyka's actually alive.
Yeah, what? How?
Turns out Corinthia's ex-husband, Patrick Porridge, found her and nursed her back to health. He even contacted Corinthia, pretending he needed advice, just to hear her voice.
That's kind of sweet, actually. A little bit of humor mixed in with all the
Yeah.
tension.
Yeah, I thought so too. Then we get to the scene that seems really sad, Whemsyka's memorial. And Devi uses it as a chance to tell everyone about his beautification plans for the false forest.
So, like, he wants to honor her memory by making the forest beautiful.
Exactly, the crowd loves the idea. But then, surprise, Whemsyka shows up, alive and well.
That's great. But what about these beautification plans? What do they actually involve?
Well, they're pretty ambitious. Devi wants to use these things called pteranoids to completely change the forest. They're bioengineered and can actually reshape the ecosystem at like a molecular level.
Well, that's some serious science fiction stuff.
Right. So suddenly you've got lush plants everywhere, streams appear out of nowhere, even rocks and boulders are just forming overnight. It's like magic, but with a scientific explanation.
It really makes you think, about the possibilities and the potential consequences of technology like that.
Absolutely. But Devi doesn't stop there. He also introduces divinions.
Divinions, what are those?
Basically, they're hybrid creatures. Things like jujutsus, Stone Age lion bears, California gruffs, a real mix of science and imagination.
Wow, that's really pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Devi's not just restoring the forest, he's creating something entirely new and fantastical. It's almost like he's rewriting the rules of nature itself.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like, the story really emphasizes this idea of transformation. And it's not just the plants and animals. 7 days later, they have this big unveiling of the new Whemsyka Woodz.
So they actually renamed the whole forest.
Yep. And there's this huge crowd gathered to see it, including, get this towering ogre couple, Grendel and Nymeria Wobblyn. I mean, their names alone are enough to make you smile.
It definitely adds to the whimsy of it all, right? Like, you have this incredibly advanced science going on, but then these giant ogres just kind of show up.
Right. It makes you wonder, where do they fit in? What role they have in this new ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, they're obviously sentient, so they can't just be treated like any other animal. And that's where Devi comes in again. He leads the Wobblyns to this clearing, a hidden spot where he's built them a house.
A house specifically for them.
Yep. And it's not just any house. It's beautifully crafted, like something out of a fairy tale.
It's almost like he anticipated their arrival, Like he knew they would need a place in this new world he was creating.
It's a really nice touch, I think. It shows that Devi cares about every living thing in the forest, not just the plants and animals.
Definitely. It adds this whole other layer to the story about community and belonging. But just when you think it's all wrapped up, there's another twist.
Oh, there's always another twist, isn't there? What is it this time?
Well, the Wobblyns find something in their new house. A mysterious artifact just sitting there on the table.
Okay, now that's interesting. What kind of artifact?
The story doesn't really say, it just describes it as being old and maybe hinting at some ancient secrets.
So it's like a cliffhanger. They leave us wondering what it all means.
Exactly. You're left thinking, where did this artifact come from? What does it tell us about the history of the false forest? And how will it impact the future of Whemsyka Woodz?
It's a really clever way to keep you engaged, even after the story is technically over.
Right. It makes you want to come up with your own theories, your own interpretations. It's like the story is still unfolding, even in our imaginations.
So we've got magic, science, family, transformation,
Yeah.
all wrapped up in this really creative and imaginative story.
Yeah. And it's told with this great balance of humor and heart and just a touch of mystery. What stands out to you the most about it?
That's a tough one. I think for me, it's the world building, the way the writer seamlessly blends these different elements together. You've got science and fantasy coexisting, and it all feels completely natural.
I agree. It's like they've created this whole new set of rules for this universe, and yet it still feels somehow familiar and relatable.
And it's not just about the spectacle either.
Yeah.
There's a real emotional depth to the story, especially in the relationship between Devi and Whemsyka.
Right. You really feel the love and the loss that he experiences, and how that motivates him to create something beautiful and lasting in her memory.
It's a reminder that even in the face of tragedy, there's always the potential for hope and renewal. And that sometimes the best way to honor someone's memory is to create something new, something that will bring joy to others.
I love that. But speaking of mysteries, what do you think about that artifact? What could it symbolize?
Well, it could be a lot of things, right? Maybe it's a key to understanding the deeper history of the false forest. Like maybe there's a whole other story waiting to be told about what happened there before Devi's transformation.
Or maybe it's connected to those ancient secrets you mentioned earlier. Perhaps it holds some kind of power that could be used for good or evil.
That's the beauty of a good mystery, isn't it? It sparks our imaginations and lets us fill in the blanks. And who knows, maybe the answers will be revealed in a future story in the short story universe. It just makes you want to keep reading, to see where the story goes next.
Definitely. It's like even though this particular story has an ending, the universe itself is still wide open.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that makes a fictional world like this so exciting. It's not just a single story, it's an invitation to imagine, to explore, to create your own interpretations.
So we've talked a lot about the story itself, but I'm curious, what do you think about the bigger themes here? What resonates with you the most about Whemsyka Woodz?
That's a good question. I mean, there's a lot going on in this story. But I think for me, it's the idea of transformation, both on a personal level, like with Devi and his grief, and on a larger scale with the whole forest being reborn.
Right, it's about change and growth and how even in the face of loss, there's always the possibility of something new and beautiful emerging.
And I think it also speaks to the power of imagination, Like Devi could have just restored the forest to what it was before, but instead he created something entirely new and unique. Something that reflected his own vision and creativity.
I think that's a really powerful message, that we have the ability to shape the world around us, to make it a better, more beautiful place. And not just through science, but through our imagination, our art, our stories.
It's like Whemsyka Woodz is a reminder that we're not just passive observers in this world. We have the power to create, to change, to transform. And that's a pretty amazing thing to think about.
It is. So before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add? Any final thoughts on Whemsyka Woodz or the short story universe in general?
Well, I just want to say that I think this is a really exciting project, and I'm really curious to see where it goes from here. I think there's so much potential for amazing stories to be told within this universe.
I agree. It's a universe full of possibilities where magic and science can coexist and where anything can happen. And I think that's what makes it so appealing to readers of all ages.
Definitely. So I encourage everyone to check out Whemsyka Woodz, The False Forest, and to explore the short story universe for yourselves. You might just be surprised by what you discover.
That's great advice. And who knows, maybe we'll revisit this universe in a future deep dive. There's certainly enough material there to keep us busy for a while.
That's good to me.
All right, well, that about wraps things up for today. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Whemsyka Woodz, The False Forest. It's been a fascinating journey exploring this world of magic, science, and transformation.
Yeah, it has.
And as always, we want to thank you for listening. We hope you'll join us again for another deep dive into something new and exciting. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep that imagination alive.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell notification to stay tuned into this channel for more insanely awesome roller coaster ride of storytelling.